Hello, my name is Grisel, and I'm going to talk about Orientalism. The concept. The term Orientalism is a concept coined by Edward Said in his book of the same name in 1978. It is a Western phenomenon since the end of the 18th century, which became very important during the 19th century and mainly built by the French, British, and later the North Americans. In short, Orientalism is the Western view of the East. It is the construction that the West makes of the East, establishing itself in the collective imaginary until today. This romantic idea of the Eastern responds to Western political and colonial domination and, at the same time, to the construction of a European supremacy to reinforce its identity, dividing and reducing the world between the West, progress, rationality, civility, masculine, and the East, barbarism, irrationality, primitive, feminine. It is an imperialist and colonial attitude to justify the invasion of all the cultures and countries included in the Eastern box, which therefore need Western domination to advance towards modernity. Orientalist art. I must insist again on the important and constant presence of the French and English population in countries like Egypt, which directly affects our concept and imagination of what belly dance is. This style is a recreation based on an stereotyped East, where instead of reflecting reality, showed the idealization of the East by European artists. Some of the main characteristics of Orientalist art, especially those which have to do with the representation of women and therefore of belly dancers, would be exaggeration of nudity and sensuality compared to that of the myth of classical antiquity. What I mean is that in the Greco-Roman culture and the subsequent neoclassical adaptation, nudity was practically represented through images of gods or mythological figures, no human and no contemporary, who embodied dignified and divine nudity, not explicit and immediate nudity as we see in Orientalist art. The extreme exoticism of the environment, luxury cushions, silky fabrics, perfume bottles, erotic atmosphere, feminine postures that invite sexual availability, reclining bodies, sitting intimately side by side, intertwined, and in some cases, cursing each other, like in a lesbian insinuation. It is the strength of the male spectator, the voyeur, against the weak Oriental woman. And the more important, the desirable woman in Orientalist painting rarely had an indigenous appearance like dark skin, but rather she conformed to the canons of European beauty. The conflict of images. Westerners constantly need images both to communicate and to classify our knowledge. The Oriental world, or rather the Islamic world, does not need them. Their culture and their thinking are much more abstract than ours. This lack of visual reference of its own contributes to the fact that Orientalist art made by Western artists spread deeply throughout the world in a way that was taken as the true vision of what the East was and is to this day. Conclusions. Therefore, when we see this image or this, or even this, think that is probably an example of Orientalism. We can dance wherever we want, obviously, but I think that knowing what I'm dancing gives me the creative freedom to develop respectful pieces with genuine sense and meaning. This is my main bibliography, so you can stop the video and check it out. Thanks for your time, and I see you at all Raqs conference.